Well, obviously DeCastro too, maybe Ebron.
Yeah, he's definitely one
Unless
that
you think he's
his name
just
has
locked
popped
in,
up.
they're not going to mess with him at all. But
Well,
Derek
the
Watt's
thing
another
is,
one for sure too. Now that JJ's not here, it's like,
yeah.
come on, bro.
We thought it would work. It didn't work. All right, we don't need you now. All right, so here you go for David DeCastro. Cap hit in 2021 is $14.2 million. If they were to cut him, they're only on the hook for $5.5 million.
Bro.
So you can see already like how they could clean it up a little bit. All right, let's check out my dog Vince, aka Vince
Yeah,
Williams.
so you got about probably 3 players on each
So
side.
yeah, so with Vince, now it makes perfect sense for Vince why he's a big candidate this year and not last year. So both years, last year and this year, he has the same $7 million cap hit. The difference is this: if they cut him last year, they were on the hook for $10 million in dead money. Whereas this year, they're only on the hook for $3 million in dead money if they were to release Vince. All right. And then let's check out Joe Hayden and Steven Nelson as we're going down our capology, right?
Joe Hayden saying no chance.
Yeah, so Joe Hayden, he has a cap hit this year of 15.5 million.
Wow.
If you cut him, you're only on the hook for 2.9.
What?
Okay. Yeah. Because signing bonus, the way it was structured, certain things hit at certain years. So that's why. So last year,
We
the year
would get
before that, though,
we would get like
so,
13 million in cap space.
yes,
Holy
absolutely.
shit.
So check this out. So Joe, in his first year of his extension in 19, he had $11 million cap hit. But if they cut him because of the signing bonus, it would have been a $16 million cap hit. And I mean, they would have had a $16 million cap hit from dead money standpoint. Then last year, he had 9.6 in cap hit. But if they would have released him last year, his dead money would have been 12.6. That's all signing bonus that they have pushed back for multiple years, right? So now you get to the point where the bulk of his signing bonus is gone in those first 2 years. Now you're only on the hook for 2.9. So that's why you could release him in theory and save the 13
Wow.
that we were just talking about.
Wow.
And then lastly, we will check Steven Nelson.
So this is the type of stuff I was seeing whenever they restructured Cam Hayward's
Correct.
contract. Because
Yes.
it was
Yep.
very front loaded in the dead cap over the
Yep.
next year or so. But his last season, if you cut him, it was only like 2 or 3 million.
Yep. So Steven Nelson, he's a little different here because obviously his money is still a little bit newer. But in 2021, he has a cap hit of 14.4 million. If you cut him, you're only on the hook for 6.1 million of that. Now, the previous year, he was on the cap for, he would have had dead money of 13.2. And then the year before that would have been 7.5.
So it's
you
8
can
million.
see, obviously, yeah, so you can see with him because of the signing bonus and how much larger his was, why it's still a little bit thicker on his, dead cap standpoint than Joe Hayden and some of these other guys.
Damn,
that's the
that's
biggest
interesting.
reason.
Dude, that's a lot of
That's the
cap
biggest
space
reason
there.
why. Absolutely. But it's a lot of cap space, but you have to replace those guys with that. So that's the thing you have to ask yourself. By doing such a thing, can you replace Steven Nelson or Joe Hayden? Can you replace Vince Williams? Can you replace this guy? Or David DeCastro? Because now if you go with David as well, now you're going to be replacing center, right guard, left tackle more than likely. And then you're still going to more than likely have a new left guard because last year it was Matt Fowler predominantly, whereas this year is going to be who? Is going to more than likely be Kevin Dotson. So you can just see from that standpoint how intricate this truly is.
You could play it right, though, for sure. Like, if you did DeCastro and then all of a sudden you signed Matt Fowler for like 4 or 5 million, maybe, like you could move around this maybe and still have a really solid team, in my opinion. I didn't know those numbers were that lucrative.
But the thing is, how do you view Matt Fowler? Right here, because it benefits from a cap standpoint, now you speak of him highly. Plenty of people had questions about Matt Fowler. So that's my thing. We can't speak of him highly now because it's going to save us money. But when people were actually watching him, people were looking at him a little sideways here. I mean, you were one of the big ones talking about what? Get Kevin Dotson out there. Get Kevin Dotson
I never said at the expense of anyone in particular. I just wanted Dotson there.
That's what it meant, though, because you weren't taking out DeCastro, right? So it was either.
Well, you laid it out to me. You laid it out to me. DeCastro wasn't playing too hot, so I was willing at that point.
I was, how my vibe was. I just look at the tape. I take the feelings out of it because obviously I got personal relationships with all of them. But I just look at the tape, and the tape showed me that one guy was playing really well, or actually two of those guys were playing really well. One wasn't. one got paid a lot more. One was a fan favorite. So we handle it differently. But that's my big thing right now. I want to see the people that are, when that number is talked about a little bit more, how people start to look at Dotson and Fowler a lot more favorably now compared to how they look at DeCastro because of how much money they can save from a cap standpoint. Your tone fair. Right now, just think about within this conversation, your tone changed drastically when you heard how much we could save if we were to make that move with DeCastro. It was like,
no, but to be honest with you, though, you're 100.
Jason can play guard too. Now that I think about it, that's what I was waiting on you to say.
No, you're right, though. We still have to replace these guys, but yes. I don't know. What are you expecting Fowler to make? We thought it was going to be maybe 5, 6, and
I think the same deal. Think about what BJ Finney got a year ago to go to was it Seattle, right? It was like 2 for 12 or something like it. I would say it was something in that range, right? 2 for 10, 2 for 12, something along those lines. I can see Matt Fowler being in a similar boat, $5-6 million a year, because the thing is, he's good at both spots, right? But not great at any spot. Meaning you could play him at right tackle, you could play him at guard, whether it's left or right guard. Can get the job done. Very serviceable. He's always going to be above the line. It's never going to be all pro level, though. Or at least we haven't seen that it would be all pro level. But you know you can win with this guy. So if I'm a team like the Steelers, that's the prime example of some of the things that I would try to do in terms of building the roster around Ben while still being able to cut some of these corners financially. He is a guy that you can win with. You're not going to get the superstars. You're not going to get, he's a former Pro Bowl. That's a former Pro Bowl. You're not going to get a ton of those guys based on the money that we have. But guys like Matt can come in and be a bridge guy for a year or two. You know what I mean? Until you find that next guy you want to draft or that guy that you want to pay when your money gets a little bit better. So you can definitely work like that. I mean, myself, I was a person like that where, you can bring this guy in for the cheap where he's going to be able to be serviceable. He can start out here. He's going to make plays for you. But you know that he's not the quote-unquote all-pro stalwart $100 million guy. Matt's not that, but Matt can definitely help you win games. So the Steelers definitely got a decision to make with that. But if you're Matt Fowler, you got to also know that, hey, if they do make that move with DeCastro, my leverage now increases drastically.
Yeah, so they really need you.
Increase.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you'd rather bring in Fowler than anyone else.
Yes. So you know that if you're Matt, that's going to be a big standpoint from a leverage perspective. For me, it worked out because Jason Worlds retired, right? So Jason Worlds retires. Debo had came out of retirement for a year, but remember, he was still on the fence if he was going to go back into retirement. So from there, when the negotiation started, it was like, all right, I got a lot more leverage now. I know what you're looking at. I know what the cupboard looks like. And I know you don't want to go out and have to pay a little bit more where, you're going to get the same level of productivity anyways. So if you're Matt Fowler, you got to take that same approach, man. Get what you can get.
Dude, this is interesting. This is going to be interesting then. How many? Yeah. We have, 2 weeks then to see all this play out?
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, essentially. Because like I said, it's going to be happening from here up until – I don't even want to wait. It's not even going to wait until the 15th because you have the legal tampering period that's going to take place from a free agency standpoint 2 days prior to free agency opening. So most of your teams are going to have those numbers in compliance then because that's typically when you're able to agree in principle to deals that you're going to be signing with some of these free agents. Not even the high-end guys, just your regular guys as well. So you're going to want to have those numbers in accordance by that time. So could honestly happen sooner than that, man.